Well, here we are again. We're back to Bertie the Bantam, and I suppose this is the Bantam rebuild part 2, although it's not so much a rebuild today as a trial fit. I've actually had the bike stripped down and repaired and renovated a few parts, but most of the time it's been sourcing nuts and bolts and little bits that were missing or broken or not up to scratch. So what I'm doing today is actually not so much a build but a trial fit of parts. I think it makes good sense to actually try fitting the parts together on the bike before I go ahead and paint them, and there's quite a lot of painting to do, as you can see. Now, when I first bought the bike, I bought it as a D7 Super 1967, but when it arrived and on checking the engine and frame numbers, I discovered that it was actually a D7 Silver model, which was the cheaper model. As you probably know, there was the D7 Silver and the D7, I think it was the Deluxe, and for £10 extra you got a bit of chrome. So for £10 cheaper you got a lot of silver paint. So my original intention was just to do an oily rag restoration, you know, and run it as is, but the previous owner had painted it all sapphire blue apart from the side of the tanks, and you can see if I move in there and just move that out of the way, you can see what's left of the silver paint on the side and the rest is sapphire blue. And I was quite happy to actually clean that up and just kind of run it, but now that I know it's a silver, I'm obliged to actually paint it in the proper colours, and the proper colours being silver mudguards, and there you can see them actually in primer, silver headlamp, and again that's in primer, and the silver tank side, and the rest of the tank and the side panels in sapphire blue. And that, with all that new paint, that kind of negates the idea of an oily rag restoration, so I'm kind of obliged to make a wee bit of a job of it. I don't want it absolutely 100% mint because it's a 52-year-old bike, but I'll make it as tidy as I can. The wheels I've actually done a wee bit of work on. That's the front wheel, it's turned out not too bad. They were actually brown with rust, both wheels. The back wheel was actually the worst. That was actually brown with rust, and what I did, I rubbed it down with kitchen foil and white vinegar, and that is the result. It's runnable, it's usable, and I'm quite happy to run them rather than spend 300 quid plus the cost of lacing them up for nice shiny chrome ones. I can't see any need for it. So that's the wheels, and all I did was the spokes I rubbed down. I was a bit worried in case they were badly corroded, but they weren't. They were not too bad. It was surface rust, so I rubbed them down and gave them a spray with wheel aluminium paint. It was the paint that I actually used for swinging around here on the BMW restoration, and they're the BMW snowflake wheels, which are done with that paint. So I had some left over, and that's it. So let's get down to what we've done so far. Most of it, as I say, was sourcing nuts and bolts, and as you see, there's some of them nice zinc plated nuts and bolts. I got 10 of these off eBay for not much money, and they're 1/4 inch CEI, which I'm led to believe that there's hardly any difference between the BSF and the CEI at a 1/4 inch. So I got 10 of them, and they've done all the Mudguard stays. What else have they done? I think they did this wee chap here, the chain guard front mount. They've done this. What else? And they've done these, and there may be one other, 2 little bits. So they're all 1/4 inch CEI. So that's sorted them out. Luckily most of the other nuts and bolts were present. I had to replace a couple. I've still got to get a proper one for this pinch bolt. That's the wrong one. I can't remember what size. I've got a bit of paper in my hand and here rattling about with all the sizes. When I got it, at least it had new handlebar clamp bolts, but as you see, the clamps are a bit dodgy. But I refuse to go and start spending money on nice new chrome bits all round. I was forced to get new levers. I had no option because the levers were missing. The handlebar, bit of pitting there and keeping it its age. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with this. What else? Oh, the yeah, this little decorative ring here, that's pretty badly pitted. Not happy with that, but I'm not going to buy a new one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strip it down and I'm going to nickel plate it like I did with these. The kickstart and the gear change were actually brown rust, and I've actually stripped the chrome off them and nickel plated them, and once I put new rubbers on, they'll just be fine. I'll be quite happy with that. Luckily most of the nuts and bolts were present, so I didn't have too much difficulty. And on this bike, most of the fittings are either BSF or CEI. Some of the smaller ones are CEI, with the exception of I had to replace some of the, if I look inside there in the headlight, you can just see those new screws. They're 2BA. So I've got 4 of them off eBay. What else? These ones, can't remember what they are, front tanker. Well, the handlebar clamps, they're 5/16 by 1 1/4 UNF. They're UNF, them ones. The top yoke pinch bolt, 5/16 by 2 BSF. Yeah, I'm looking down, and most of the screws and bolts are actually BSF. The only odd ones I think are those UNF ones, the headlight, the handlebar clamps, which are UNF. BSA, I mean, no wonder they went out of business. They couldn't standardise their nuts and bolts, had everything under the sun, and some people have got Whitworth, some UNF, some all sorts. But on this bike, it's not too bad. There's only, apart from the handlebar clamps, it's mostly BSF or CEI. So, where can we go from here? Right, we'll go round the back here. In fact, I think I'll take the saddle off, if I can get it off one-handed. I'm using my mobile phone for this because I've made a cock up with my GoPro with a gimbal, which I use single-handed. I've used it twice in the last couple of days, and when the battery's down and they're not charged up yet, so it's shaky cam. A few things to do. I've got to drill this. When I got it, I think it was a bit of a bitsa. The guy that sold it was an old guy, and I think he sold 2 or 3 bikes to a dealer down south. The other 2 were sold as goers, but this was sold as a project, and I think what he's done is thrown a lot of parts together, but luckily the engine and frame numbers do match, which is good. And it's had about, I think, 3 owners in its life, which is not bad. But like, the rear mudguard should have a couple of holes there to mount the coil, so I've got to drill a couple of holes there. I've already had the wiring loom out and fixed it up, so that's working pretty good. The battery carrier, I've just a wee bit of repair to do with that. The rectifier, I've got in the workshop rewiring it. So it's all good to go. I suspect that is actually the wrong number plate. This should have the longer number plate, but I'm going to leave it because I've ordered new numbers. I can actually get them on. This number has got 7 numbers. This is really for a 6th number index, but mine's 7 numbers, but I can get it on and still keep it legal. So, oh goodness, the shock absorbers, I had a wee bit of problem with the bolts, but I've got them sorted out. What else? Ah yeah, this, I'll take this off. There we go. I was asked by somebody how these fit together. I don't know if you can see inside there, but the screw that goes through that bracket, through the battery carrier, and there's a spacer, a metal spacer there, and then of course the inner screws onto it there and there. And likewise, the hangers for the pillion footrests, the hangers, they also have a spacer behind there, and I actually had to fabricate this one because it was missing, and I quite simply just measured the spacer that was there and ordered a wee bit of metal tube, mild steel tube off eBay, and fabricated one myself. And as you see, the first thing you'll notice is things are not properly bolted up. Things are just cobbled together just to make sure they fit, and everything seems to fit. The Carb, that's a 375/60, and you'll notice it's got the wee push choke. You push it down and turn it to lock it down, so it doesn't have the lever on the filter. It's just a plain flat screw-on filter. Somebody said that wasn't original, but I don't know if it was or not. I mean, there's that many variations. I haven't really done anything with the engine. I know that it has reasonable compression. I can feel it kicking it. You'll notice the exhaust's not there. The reason is because it's elsewhere getting worked on. So that's the bike. That's Bertie the Bantam as it stands at the moment. What I've got to do is just make sure everything fits. For example, you'll notice there that the front mudguard is cocked off to one side, and some of the primer's already rubbed off. So it's very important to do a trial fit before you paint anything and make sure things actually fit properly. Otherwise you're going to ruin your paint when you try and get them back on. The same with the chain guard. It's very, very close to the rear shock absorber there, and if I look at that, once I screw that in, that's going to pull in a wee bit, but I'm going to have to do a wee bit of fettling to make sure there's adequate clearance. Otherwise that's just going to rub all the paint off that chain guard, and that was one of the few components I actually had to buy because that was missing, and they're not cheap, the chain guards. That's a new one. What else did I buy? Had to buy the carriers for the foot pegs. They were missing, and of course the levers for the bars. Anything else? No, not really very much at all. Oh yeah, the front mudguard. That's a replacement I bought second hand because the front one had a great big rusty hole at the front, and yeah, I replaced that. Somewhere about, good God, I've lost it. I had it a while ago. I've actually got a pedestrian cutter number plate for the front, which is lying about somewhere. I've mislaid it. Oh yeah, there's something here. I was asked how these fit. This is the extended chain guard. On the chain guard, this little gap there behind here. There's a little recess, and that actually slides into it and screws onto this screw here. I haven't measured the size. It's either a 1/4 or a 2BA. I don't know. I've not measured the size yet, and that's how it fits there. I bought that because that was missing as well, so that's another bit that I bought. So that's it. So that's my little D7 silver. Awaiting basically fettling all the parts. I'm not going to paint anything until I get everything to fit right. The forks, they're just loosely fitted on. Oh, there's one thing I'm going to do. As you see, the forks are just loosely fitted on there. I'm going to take the seal caps off, and I'm going to plate them. They're just polished up and a wee bit of lacquer on them, but they will rust. So I'm gonna plate them. So new seals in there. Anything else? The electrics are fine. I just need a new bulb. All the switches are present and correct. The speedo's present and correct. Switches. The brake pedals upstairs. I remember what's missing. The brake pedal pivot bolt is missing, and the spring, and you're talking for the two of them about 15 quid. But the pedal's upstairs, and I've got the bar, and I've got the switch for the rear brake light. As you see, some of these nuts and bolts are a bit rusty, so they'll be taken off, they'll be plated. Shockers, they actually work not bad, so they'll get painted, and there we go. So that's the winter project, and I haven't even made an attempt to start it yet because I've got to put the electrics on, and I can't do that until I get a battery. I need to get a 6-volt battery and rewire the rectifier and get that back on, and then we'll see if she fires up. So there we are. That's Bertie the Bantam. There's not much else I can say about it, but I'll make wee videos and take photographs of my progress as I go along. Oh, the other thing is the tyres. Although they look alright, they're absolutely ancient. They're probably about 20 or 30 years old. So I've got a set of tyres in the house to fit. I'll fit them myself. I've got 2.5 18 at the front and a 3/18 for the back. And that's it. That's Bertie the Bantam. I've just remembered something else. There is a couple of things. I have a switch. I've got a dip switch, but no horn switch and no horn. So I will be getting a switch for there that'll work the dip and the horn, and I do want to put indicators on it, but we'll see about that. What else have I got? I've got the clutch cable inside, the accelerator cable, that works fine, and I've got a new speedo cable to go on it. So I think I've got most of the parts ready to go together. So that's Bertie the Bantam, and I don't think I can say anything more about it at this stage, except it's going to get a wee bit wet over the winter because I don't have a garage. All I've got is a shed, and it's full of tools and whatnot. I actually got a gazebo. You'll probably see there's a frame there, a gazebo frame, and I got that so that I could work on the bikes if it was raining, but it's never been that desperate. I've never actually, it only takes 5 minutes to pull the cover or the top across, so if I really wanted to work on the bike that was raining, I could pull the cover across the gazebo and work away quite happily. The other thing is, I discovered if you're working on bikes outside and you don't have the luxury of a garage and storage space, I rebuilt that BMW from scratch. That's now MOT and running. That's quite a good bike. That I discovered when I built that is the best way to do it is to leave the parts on the bike. If they're on the bike, parts are not getting lost, they're not getting damaged. And I discovered that to my cost, because I did lose a couple of parts that I had to go and buy because I'd lost them. So all these parts will stay on the Bantam until I'm ready to do something with them. There's a few parts that I can take off and spray up immediately, because I know, like for example, the side panels and centre panel, I could do all them. Because they fit properly, they're not going to get scratched. I can do the tank, probably the back mudguard, the number plate, I could do the shock absorbers, but the front mudguard, I'm going to have to do some fettling to get it to fit, because if I paint it and try and fit it as it is, the new paint's going to get scratched, and I've got to take the trousers off and repaint them. So that's it. That's Betty the Bantam, and hopefully if all goes well she'll be on the road next spring, but there'll be 1 or 2 videos showing my progress in between now and the spring. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.